never improve your brand or what you are selling.
Wow.
Besides being innovative, out of the box, and on time with your product launch, on time with your product launch, on time with your product launch, one must do market research. Mr. Speaker, some of the best marketing tools to influence your brand is word of mouth, customers' experience, and proper execution of a product launch. Mr. Speaker, last Friday evening, I witnessed the launch of the World Korean Music Festival.
Courage.
I am still lost for words. I wanted to cry.
I cry.
Is this the standard we plan to use for product launching? Is that how we plan to attract new visitors to Dominica?
I cry in all now.
Mr. Speaker, the runway at the Douglas Charles Airport will be extended to improve travel to Dominica. I applaud this effort. However, the effect of this extremely undermined main access road where the wave over topic issue occurs should not be discounted. It will affect the quality of the tourism product that we are aiming to improve on.
Right.
Imagine a tourist being dashed while driving in the area, too scared to return and share his story on social media. You know how the things are spread. Mr. Speaker, I recommend that the Minister for Tourism put some pressure on the Minister for Public Works, member for Wesley, to work on this project which has been affecting his constituency for over a decade now. I see no provision was made in 2023-2024 budget to attend to this issue. Well, maybe this does not affect him directly, Mr. Speaker, because he passes through there with his window up. Mr. Speaker.
8 more minutes.
Thank you. The Minister for Tourism needs to step up.
Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
I'd like to move a motion that the Senator be given an additional 15 minutes to wrap up her presentation.
Second the motion.
It has been moved and seconded that the Honorable Senator be given an additional 15 minutes.
No.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Those against? No. Okay, Senator, no. So proceed.
That's okay.
You have 7 minutes.
Okay, the Minister for Tourism needs to step up her game and improve the Dominica experience. I expect a grandstand in Parliament speaking for an hour about the project that we hear about year in, year out, then to go back to her ministry to understand and underproduce. In a world where accountability is king and you report to a board of directors, you will know that showing your level of productivity in any fiscal year will make or break your career.
Yes.
In important industries like tourism, it's either you can make it go or you can't.
True.
And if you can't, it's better reset you out of there. Mr. Speaker, in this national reset, the Prime Minister made one change that the hard-working farmers of the Marga constituency and Dominica by extension are pleased with. A Minister for Agriculture who knows and understands the agriculture. I know that because I work with him.
Yes, he's a good guy.
He's a good guy. I commend him. On behalf of Mr. Henderson the Great, a successful farmer for over 51 years, I said thank you. He has benefited from the World Bank project. Though we had to complete the project out of pocket, this assistance allowed him to extend his chicken coop, a project that he invested in since 1993. Kudos to you, Mr. Henderson. I know you're listening and you're proud of your child. Mr. Speaker, $47.5 million to improve on the agriculture sector may not be adequate, but we are willing to work with the Minister for Agriculture on improving the agriculture industry. We will continue to champion the need for feeder roads, and we will continue to remind the Minister for Agriculture that the feeder roads need attention. The Minister informed in his presentation that $20 million will be invested in feeder roads for the next 2 fiscal years. I have to breeze through this because no time for me. Mr. Speaker, mention was made by the Minister for Public Works again. Works of 2 patches of feeder roads in the constituency. The Minister should be ashamed that under his tenure and after 100 of attended calls and WhatsApp messages from farmers of that constituency and from myself, I called you to in the way to answer me.
Yes, Senator, you have to withdraw. Minister should be ashamed. That's
okay,
getting involved in personal matters. So withdrawn. Proceed.
That he has not done any of the feeder roads that was so difficult for the farmers to travel. We need to recognize when we have not done what we are supposed to do. In the budget, there's $11.3 million budgeted for under the 11th EDF feeder road rehabilitation program. I hope that the Marlborough constituency receives some feeder roads under that. Allow me to clear up a misconception from last Thursday evening when the member for Wesley constituency, thank you for reminding me, was doing his presentation. He reminded me about the 40% that the Honorable Prime Minister announced on November 3rd, 2019. In his 40th year of independence address, the Honorable Prime Minister informed that 40% of the current balance of the student loan of students who return home from studying to build our beautiful Dominica will be paid by the government of Dominica. The member expressed in his Honorable House that I, Lauren Henderson, received 40% on my student loan balance. I stand here to clear the air. My application, which I submitted on 31st December 2019 to the Ministry of Education, must have thrown away in the wind because it was not honored. I did not benefit from this 40%, but I know quite a bit of people who did. The member can take up the mantle to investigate the matter and let me know when I will receive my 40% because it's due to me. I came back to build this country. Okay? Finally, Mr. Speaker, I have to breeze through this as the time is running out. I see that we'll be procuring some fire appliances and ambulances for the next fiscal year. Yes. Mr. Speaker, long story short, we need more. We need another fire truck in the northeast. There's one at the airport, but when a plane lands, we already know what's going to happen if there's a fire in the constituency or the area. But I breezed through that. Let me just give. I have recommendations for Mr. Speaker. I want to give it. Mr. Speaker, I'm going to run straight to my recommendations. My recommendations to this government is as follows. Let us do the national reset properly. If we are serious, how much?
2 more minutes.
Yes, I can wrap up in 2 minutes. If we are serious about developing this country, let's pay more attention to agriculture. Pay serious attention to tourism. Invest in the youth of the country. Improve on healthcare. Yes, the infrastructure is there, but the healthcare is poor. Let's fix it. This is how we will grow the economy. Let's consult with the credit unions and the people who keep this movement going before we tap into the vulnerable people of Dominica's savings. Yes, it's their savings in such a draconian manner. Thank you.
Yes, I recognize the parliamentary representative for the Roseau South constituency, Honorable Lockhart Hippolyte. Proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Allow me to make reference to my notes, Mr. Speaker.
Permission granted.
My God. Mr. Parliamentary colleagues, the permanent secretaries who are here with us today, the media, the listening and viewing public, and indeed the residents and voters of the Roseau South constituency on whose behalf I am here today. The 2023-2024 budget and supplementary estimate, which I have a reason to endorse, have been presented to us by our Minister of Finance, Dr. Irving McIntyre, at a pivotal time in our nation's history. The world is rapidly evolving. We cannot stand still and observe that ongoing evolution, because if we do, we could be running the risk of getting drowned in a tidal wave of global transformation. We must be reflective, cautious, and proactive. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, our visionary and God-sent Prime Minister, who was once referred to as "He is like Jesus," remains absolutely committed to national development. He's leading a team of competent ministers. We are also guided by a professional and highly skilled and experienced cadre of public servants. God is at the center of our decision-making process. We love people. It is for these reasons that despite the many challenges that confront us, I am confident that our best days are ahead and the current hurdles shall be traversed. it isn't a time for pessimism. This 1.25 billion budget provides hope to our people. Our government remains caring and responsible and very responsive to our needs. We shall not become sidetracked, Mr. Speaker, by the whims and fancies of a fractured and disoriented and desperate opposition grouping, which can be likened, Mr. Speaker, to a wet, headless fowl rolling in the mud for attention. We are better than this because our genesis, our philosophy, our social democratic ideals are related to the fundamental moral and Christian doctrines. Mr. Speaker, I heard somebody give some historical data, but I too have some history to speak about. Mr. Speaker, this country is the only country in the Caribbean and the world that has been battered, Mr. Speaker, by natural disasters and man-made too, Mr. Speaker. Let me remind them that when this Dominican Labour Party government took office in 2000, Mr. Speaker, I have to go back. We met a country that was bankrupt. Mr. Speaker, the treasury of this country had no money. Civil servants were not being paid on time. They were making the excuse that the computer was breaking down, Mr. Speaker. Loans were taken at highly concessionary rates, Mr. Speaker. And we lost 2 prime ministers in an effort to stabilize the economy. And then came our savior, the Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit, who took us from the brinks of collapse and steered the ship, Mr. Speaker. I have to remind them, especially Dominicans here and abroad, and this parliamentary opposition, because they want us to believe, Mr. Speaker, that they are not associated with the United Workers' Party. But we know better. We know better, because I saw, Mr. Speaker, Larry Curly and Sue at the electoral reform meeting on the Arch, Mr. Speaker. I saw them on the Arch. And the leader of the opposition, when she gave her budget address, her nails were polished in blue, Mr. Speaker. Her nails were polished in blue. And my brethren, the only last Rasta who can liberate the people, he say, of Marigot, said, he is not red and he is not blue. But if you not red, my brother, you blue. And Honorable Sean Douglas, who is constantly on Q95 preaching doom and gloom, Mr. Speaker, and wishing and hoping that this country will go under another IMF. But this and Godface, you will never see, Mr. Speaker. You'll never see. Because under the leadership of Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit, that will never happen.
Remember, the part about not seeing Godface and ask you to withdraw that. I'd ask you to withdraw that.
Withdraw, Mr. Speaker, withdraw. Mr. Speaker, so we had the man-made disaster. Then the trough in 2015. I had to pass by the Bay, Newtown, to get into Roseau. Then we went through Tropical Storm Erica. An entire village was battered and bruised. People lost their lives. An entire village had to be reconstructed in the Bellevue area. When we thought we had gotten a break, Mr. Speaker, Hurricane Maria came. Hurricane Maria devastated the entire country. All our productive sectors were down, Mr. Speaker. Agriculture, tourism, small business. Mr. Speaker, because of the brilliance of the Honorable Prime Minister, we recovered from Hurricane Maria. We recovered because of the hard work of the Honorable Prime Minister. But, Mr. Speaker, we have to go back because sometimes some people pretend to forget. They forgot where we were and how far that we have come. The country built back so quickly. So quickly. So you cannot believe. You cannot understand the brilliance of the Honorable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, when we fought, we had recuperated and we were going back on track. Here came COVID-19. Millions of dollars were spent in the economy fighting COVID-19, helping to save lives. People lost their loved ones, Mr. Speaker. An entire hospital was built at Portsmouth. We spent millions of dollars on medication, testing kits. We had to feed the people who were tested positive for COVID-19, Mr. Speaker. Brought in vaccines, and it was because of the Honorable Prime Minister's relationship with our region. That is why we're able to be the first. We're the first in the region to have received vaccines, Mr. Speaker. So that is what this country has been going through. So we are there battling with so many disasters. Now the Ukraine-Russian war, Mr. Speaker, causing rising costs of goods and services. But, Mr. Speaker, despite the many challenges, no civil servant has been sent home. No wages have been lowered. Our social safety net remains intact, Mr. Speaker. Many governments and peoples were not as fortunate as Dominica, for massive retrenchment within the public service was a commonplace, Mr. Speaker. Now I want to move to the CBI program, because we cannot deny the amount of revenue that has been generated from this CBI program. The CBI program is one of the mainstays of our economy, Mr. Speaker. And if you are a Dominican, Mr. Speaker, you have to defend the CBI program. You cannot be saying that you care for the people, you want to see development for the people, and you want to bring down the very program that has us, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the parliamentary opposition has attacked time and time again our CBI program. Mr. Speaker, you know what I would do? You know what I'd do? You know an island they call Bird Island? I would use the services of my brother, the Honorable Defoe. Blue Economy. He's a fisherman too. We'll take a pui-pui, Mr. Speaker, and he'll captain that. And I would just take all of them and I'll put Sean Douglas there first on the pui-pui. Honorable Sean Douglas. And I would just send them on Bird Island, Mr. Speaker. Put them on Bird Island and let me see how they would survive on Bird Island. You cannot destroy our CBI program, Mr. Speaker. But, Mr. Speaker, we listen with keen interest to the Honorable Minister of Finance. He was quite articulate and informative in his presentation. He and other speakers spoke very highly about our government programs. There is something for every sector in this budget. One will be left behind. Preliminary reports indicate that our nation is excited about the many provisions in this budget. Core policies are strengthened and new dynamic elements are introduced. Mr. Speaker, the NEP is here to stay. The Yes We Care program, which goes to the moral core of Dominica, will not be obliterated. This policy is intrinsically linked to our corporal works of mercy. We cannot, as a Christian community, abandon our less fortunate. We in the Dominica Labour Party are guided by the philosophy of all shall eat, Mr. Speaker. Now I want to turn my attention to the digital economy. Technology, Mr. Speaker, has revolutionized the way we live, the way we work, the way we do business, and access information and connect with one another. It is the key to unlocking productivity, efficiency, and competitiveness in the global economy. Mr. Speaker, COVID-19 has taught us that the digital economy is necessary. During that period in which the world was locked down, many transactions were done online. Bills were paid online, transfers of monies were done online, shopping were done online, even boyfriends and girlfriends and husbands and wives were found online, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, to the honorable member of Marigot, even the brothel that he spoke about can be found online, Mr. Speaker. But just to caution him, it might be very expensive for such activities. And it's also illegal. Mr. Speaker, I see the leader of the opposition is out, but she's listening to me. We are in an age of digital economy. And Mr. Speaker, sometime last week, I went on Google Play Store and I downloaded a program called Chat On. And I asked Chat On how to prepare a budget address. Mr. Speaker, Chat On gave me the entire outline within minutes, within seconds, Mr. Speaker. I would want to encourage her to use Chat On, Mr. Speaker, to save her the embarrassment of asking individuals, and I suspect the person is staring at me, Mr. Speaker. I don't know if you love to see the way I'm dressed. Not sure. Asking people to write for them, Mr. Speaker. At least, Mr. Speaker, she would have an address that have some meats on it, Mr. Speaker. Because unlike Honorable Defoe, he likes salt, but I like meat. And I like all types of meat. Goat, pork, just name it, Mr. Speaker. I mean, only a person that like me that would be looking like. Yeah, Sean is looking at me, staring at me. I mean, he's stingy. Be careful, okay. I'll be careful. I'll be careful, Mr. Speaker. Because I suspect I wouldn't get meat. But I heard he was selling ice cream, but I don't know what happened to him. I don't know. I love ice cream, but I understood he's no longer in the ice cream business, Mr. Speaker. But you'll have to explain to us why not. He's not in the business. But, Mr. Speaker, I want to move back to the digital economy. In an effort to bridge the digital divide, Mr. Speaker, and to increase digital literacy and to become the leaders in the Caribbean as it relates to the digital economy, the government have invested $75 million Because I heard you see, me says we have people on that side that they're not even, who are they representing? I'm not too sure. But I heard some figure, yes, I know you, they are my brethren. Remember, you alone that can liberate the people, yes. Okay? I heard some figures quoting Mr. Speaker, and I'm wondering, but you see, people speak, but they do not speak out of fact. They do not have the facts. They listen to what they're hearing on Q95. They read Marboyd's Kitchen. They read Facebook. But they do not come here to get the facts. $75 million spent on the transformation of the digital economy. With a focus, Mr. Speaker, on our people, our business and government services. And my colleague, Minister Grant, spoke to many programs in his address. But, Mr. Speaker, let me just touch base briefly on the digital hubs. As was stated earlier by the Minister of Finance and Honorable Grant, 16 hubs were created throughout the length and breadth of Dominica. Each of these hubs are equipped with large screen televisions, Honorable Roland, right? Computers and monitors. Lecturers can provide training to one or all of the hubs at the same time, Mr. Speaker. But I'm not a boastful person, but I can tell you Newton Hub is the best hub, Mr. Speaker. We have the best hub at Newton. The Newton Hub is equipped, and they'll be listening, you know, Mr. Speaker, when I pass Newton, everybody will be listening to the address, and they will say they never knew that was there. The hub is equipped with a main lab area to allow businesses to train and sharpen employees' digital skills. A co-working space has been constructed to allow startups to have a working space to be used to start their projects and businesses. Also, a pitch area for startups to pitch their business ideas to other potential investors. Mr. Speaker, I want to urge the residents of the areas where we have hubs to take advantage of the free training programs that we are offering, and this is both the young and the old. The plan is to have these hubs open until 8 at night to allow for night classes, and also to have residents access the hubs to conduct their business online. Most importantly, as it relates to the digital economy, we are committed to speedily bring in the new EC bill, Mr. Speaker, that is the Electronic Communications Bill, which is the underpinning framework for expanding the digital economy. In all of this expansion of the digital economy, security is necessary, and a parallel provision will be made for cybersecurity training and development. Work online. Mr. Speaker, a lot was talked about work online by Honorable Grant. As he stated, we are about to train an additional 60 students, and I just want to encourage all the young people to take advantage of this opportunity, as many before you have successfully completed the program and are making money in the comfort of their own homes. Mr. Speaker, the water sector. Our government is committed to bringing quality pipe-borne water and more resilient water supply to homes in Dominica. As a result, we have embarked on 4 projects. The Water Sector Strategic Development Project. This involves the replacement of damaged infrastructure to include river intakes and supply pipelines, water treatment plant, and storage tanks. All the necessary designs are completed. The project was open to tender, but the bids received were too high. In light of this, the intervention was redesigned which would allow for the engagement of more local contractors. The areas that will benefit greatly from this project are as follows. Cassie Bruce, and I know the parliament representative there have been calling me because they have a lot of issues with their water supply. Kalibishi, Monjon, Riviere Syric, and Granford, while the second phase to be considered are Roseau Valley, west coast of Salisbury to Coolibishri, and sewerage facility for Jimit. These interventions will provide direct employment for at least 200 residents during construction. Funds are provided by the government of Dominica from the UK development funds. Water Area 1 network upgrade. Water Area 1 serves domestic, commercial, and industrial customers from Mero to Castle Comfort, and is being implemented at a total cost of 33 million with funding from CDB. This critical project will provide vital improvements to water quality, storage, and service continuity to a vast number of residents. 40% of Dominicans are already benefiting from additional storage capacity at Antrim and Massac, and more reliable service due to the operation of the Antrim pre-treatment and filtration plants. Installation of new laboratory equipment at the new Antrim laboratory is now ongoing, and commissioning of the laboratory will be undertaken soon. The Mount Prosper Water Supply Project. This project involves the construction of a new 60,000 imperial gallon storage tank, a pumping station in Wharton Waven, the laying of a cross-country pumping line, and distribution line upgrades. The project commenced in March 2021, and the works contracted under the BNTF program were completed in March 2022 at a cost of 1.9 million. The new system is now in operation and is scheduled for commissioning in August 2023. Mr. Speaker, I am certain that the people of the Valley are happy that they now have a more reliable water supply. Mr. Speaker, we also have the Pebush Water Project, which will be executed under BNTF 10 at a cost of EC 1.8 million. This will increase the efficiency and reliability of the water system. Mr. Speaker, I know the residents of Kings Hill, particularly the Pierce area, are having several challenges with their water supply, and I have asked DOWASCO to provide me with a report in an effort to ensuring that their water supply is steady, Mr. Speaker. Now I turn my attention to the Roseau South constituency, a constituency, Mr. Speaker, that I hold very dear to my heart. The people of Roseau South are most important to me, and it's because of them that I stand here today. Roseau South stands to benefit from this budget. It will allow us to build on some of our achievements and develop and implement other modules of economic growth and sustainable development. Berkey Peters, a retired psychiatric nurse, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, I am certain that the people of Newtown, Harlem, would welcome the naming of this health center after a very great man, Mr. Speaker. I can tell you, since this health center was constructed, it has been busy every day, Mr. Speaker. because we are not only serving the people of Newtown and environs, but we have been serving the people of Roseau as well. I want to commend the nurses there because they are doing an excellent job. Nurses like Nurse Lambert, Nurse Raheem Henderson, Nurse Vanessa Charles, Davis and Dr. Alfred, the community health aides like Mary Julian, Mr. Speaker, who go out to look after the elderly. We want to thank you for your support in our community. The refurbishment of the Girondale Health Center. I have given my commitment to the community and the nurses, Nurse Tula and community health aide Gloria Lord, that this will be done in this financial year. The estimates were done and handed to the Ministry of Health. I will continue as your PAL rep to assist the most vulnerable with medical expenses as done in the last financial year through the Rapid Response Unit. I turn my attention now, Mr. Speaker, to sports. And when I start talking about sports, I talk about my favorite sport, which is football, Mr. Speaker. Football. Everybody was saying to me, PAL rep, we want our lights, we want our lights, we want our lights. Well, Mr. Speaker, I'm sure if you pass through Newtown in the night and Harlem is training, you will see a shining light, Mr. Speaker. This may even blind you, Mr. Speaker, while you're driving. You have to blink your eyes several times, Mr. Speaker, to adjust to the light at the Newtown Savannah, the Mecca, Mr. We cannot change. And Mr. Speaker, you know what I did? I drove around the country, because Harlem football field was the first field to have lights in Dominica. And I heard a little sips here. This place have light, that place have light, and the other place over there have light. So I took a drive, Mr. Speaker, and I said I want the best lights for Newtown Savannah. And today, I can boast that we have the best lighting, Mr. Speaker, in the entire country. And somebody said to me,
Honorable Minister, you have 30 more minutes.
yes, that's okay.
Yes, 30 more minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, the people have their lighting and they're satisfied with that. So what we need to do now, Mr. Speaker, is to ensure that we bring back our off-season. Now, as I said to them, I'm the PAL rep. I provide the infrastructure. You as the sports club, you as the community, you come together and you put together your off-season, and PAL rep will support the off-season. You do not expect me as the PAL rep to put lights, still come back, plan the off-season, and do everything. I mean, Mr. Speaker, I have a large constituency, you know already. 15 hamlets. 15. So we're ready to roll in Newtown with our off-season, Mr. Speaker. The next phase, because I have spoken and she right next to me, and I turn there and I see Honorable Oscar. They know how I feel about sports and how compassionate I am about it. Newtown is an urban community, and the Savannah is right on the highway. So I tell them I do my lighting already. Between you two, I do not want to fall out with Honorable Roberts, Mr. Speaker. We're nice. You see how we're sitting next to each other? We're nice. So the next phase is the grading and the regrassing of the Mecca of football in the Commonwealth of Dominica, Mr. Speaker. Now there's another sport I love a lot, Mr. Speaker. Unfortunately, Roseau South does not have a basketball team, but we come in. But internationally, I support Lakers. no matter what, Lakers. And so we constructed the hard courts at Bath Estate. And you know, everybody wants lights now, Mr. So that's a new thing, lights. So once you construct a court, a playing field, next thing is lights. So I've already gotten the commitment and to tell the people, the young people of Bath Estate, the basketball enthusiasts, Mr. Speaker, that the light is coming. And we have done the assessment, it's $56,000. Mr. Speaker, I know I can get lights, you know, but I wouldn't do that to my colleague. I'm ready to still take the lights, because they're not ready yet, but I'm ready for it. But I'll give them a little break, you know. So the lights coming, Mr. Speaker. But we have an entire black one, you'll not arrest me. You don't do that to me. So
you need me to protect you from the Honorable Blackmore?
Mr. Speaker, Newton, I don't need no protection. And my husband is from estate, so you'll be good. Yes, Blackmore can't touch you. Yeah. So, Mr. Speaker, in regards to the basketball court, we have an entire plan. So we have constructed, we got our rims, and reversible rims, Mr. Speaker, you have seen that? We have reversible rims so we can play netball as well on the court. And we can play volleyball too, it's a multi-purpose court. And so we're going to do the lighting, and the next phase is the stands and the washroom facilities. But the people understand, unlike the opposition, Mr. Speaker, the people of Roseau South understands the challenges that we're going through right now. And so they are patient, and we are prioritizing. Because I suspect if we go and give all you just a little chance, all you will go back to right where we were in 2000, with all what I hear in there. So, Mr. Speaker, we're doing that. In addition to playing fields, I want to look at the Bath Estate playing field, and I will meet with the Bath Estate Football Club along with the Bath Estate Development Committee and the DFA, which had a very heated election, Mr. Speaker. But I will tell you secretly who I supported for president. But I will meet with them, and we will chart the way forward as it relates to the Bath Estate playing field. As you know, Bath Estate Football Club is doing extremely well. Somebody next to me thinks that they're unbeatable, but we are coming, Mr. Speaker, for the truth. We're coming for the truth. In regards to the lighting, the club has already spoken to me, and they have their little preference so that they can train late at night, and that is something that my colleague, Honorable Grant, I'm sure once I tell him how much lights I need, we will get the lights. Take all, Grant? Okay, so I'll take all the lights, and we will light up the Bath Estate playing field so they can train at night. Okay? I'll come with a flatbed, I'll take a flatbed truck, and I'll take a crane. Thank you, Honorable Minister, who was the former PS of Public Works. Mr. Speaker, another playing field. I'm taking my time because my constituency, and they are the ones who have me here. So I'm spending my time. And if I need additional time on my constituency, I know Honorable Lavin will grant me that time. Okay? So the Lubia playing field, we have rehabilitated the Lubia playing field to a tune of $150,000. And I felt so much joy because we struggled so much with that field, Mr. Speaker. And the Prime Minister gave us these funds for this playing field at a time when we were battling with COVID-19. And the people, the young boys of Lubia, told me to extend their gratitude to the Honorable Prime Minister for giving them this $150,000 to rehabilitate the Lubia playing field. And today, Mr. Speaker, they're playing football on it. We have some more work to do in terms of the grassing, but we will get there eventually. And I went by Greens to get some groceries, Mr. Speaker. I saw some young boys playing some small good there. And you know, I like my phone, I like to post, I like to be on WhatsApp. So I took a video to show them that the guys are playing football on the playing field. So thank you, Honorable Prime Minister. Now, Mr. Speaker, you know there are some people who can be very vindictive. But nonetheless, this power continues to persevere. And during the snap election, the Kings Hill playing field was of much discussion. And the same people who bashed me about the Kings Hill playing field are the same people who put the goat pen on the playing field, Mr. Speaker, and created their videos. But we met with the people of Kings Hill, and the Kings Hill people said to me that the priority for them is the Kings Hill Community Center. But nonetheless, I went, and I want to thank Honorable Kasani Laville, who gave me lights for the Kings Hill playing field. And every afternoon, Mr. Speaker, you know what lights I'm talking about, because the young people like their lights and they want to play when they leave work, when they come out from school, they want to be able to play up till 8 o'clock at night. So we have to understand that. So he gave me lights, and what I have said to the NEP, every 2 weeks, I'd like them to cut the grass, make sure the grass is well maintained. And so we do not have so much grass on the playing field. And what we want to do in this fiscal year is to fence the playing field. Because the same people who were talking about the playing field are the ones who park their vehicles, Mr. Speaker, on the playing field. And the young boys cannot kick their ball how they want, Mr. Speaker. And all that is part of the reset. I said to my constituents, I'm not staying quiet. This year, I am going to say it as it is. So please stop parking your vehicles on the playing field. Let the young people have their playing field so they can kick their ball how they want, Mr. Speaker. Reset. In regards to the Eggleston playing field, you say I have a large constituency, not my fault. So it's playing fields, we did it with sports and so. So in regards to the Eggleston playing field, there will be some rehabilitation works done there because they like their cricket. You know, they like their little
20
football.
more minutes?
That's okay, so Mr. Plenty time.
You have time.
Yes. So in regards to the Eggleston playing field, we're going to rehabilitate the playing field. And some of the people within the community, one thing with Eggleston and Girondale, they always come out to help. Very helpful people. They'll do their Kudme self-help, Mr. Speaker, and they will come out with their machines. They'll say, Parab, give me a little gas, and we roll in. So we are going to do that. The other thing on the agenda is the Girondale Pavilion, Mr. Speaker. So it has started. It started a few years ago, and we intend to do some more work on it. Mr. Speaker, in regards to tourism, we see a 4-star hotel being constructed at Lale Coco, Loubier, Mr. Speaker, you know the stretch there. And upon completion of this hotel, this will provide some sustainable employment opportunities for the residents and community of our environs. I want to caution the people of the constituency to get trained. You know your power rep will always help you. The college provides programs, hospitality and tourism. And free of charge, Mr. Speaker, thank God to the Dominica Labour Party. Free of charge. If there's any little fee to pay, the power rep will pay. But they need to get themselves trained in the area of tourism and hospitality. Because you cannot have a massive hotel there being constructed and people coming out from Kashaku, Mr. Speaker, and getting jobs, and people from the Roseau South constituency not getting anything. So they have to position themselves to take advantage, Mr. Speaker, of the opposition. I see you smiling. You have to talk like me. You can't speak like me. You, let's tell you cannot, you enjoying it, don't you? You love my flow. You want me to give you some training? Okay, so I will teach you, but you know that is something that comes naturally, my brethren. It's not something you just, not at your age, I'm not sure. Sometimes they say, I'm not sure. You love the hairstyle? Oh, my style, okay. Everybody has their style. So, Mr. Speaker, Mon Bruce, the Minister of Tourism, my colleague, and she's my dear friend too. She's very much aware that the people who come off the cruise ship, one of the first places they visit is Mon Bruce on that hill there, Mr. Speaker. And they get a view of Melissa's city. And so we have to enhance the Mon Bruce site. And she has promised me, although they say a promise is a comfort to a fool, Mr. Speaker, but you see, this friend and colleague of mine, when she makes a promise to me, she keeps it. She keeps it. So I saw there's an allocation for site enhancement in the budget, and the Mon Bruce site is priority on the Minister of Tourism's list, Mr. So we'll do a nice platform. We'll enhance the ambience. Because right now, Mr. Speaker, if you go there, there's a thing, you have to, what do you call it, a scope. We want to make that a bit better and, do something nice there and enhance the washroom facility. You know, Mr. Speaker, I see that place as a place of romance, Remember last time I called the minister romance minister? I suspect you wanted that title. but don't worry, you'll get it. But Mon Bruce is a place for romance, a place we can do so much with, Mr. Speaker. And people can have their blankets and, do something on moonlight night, Mr. Let's make something happen, Mr. Speaker. Let's make something happen. Let us make something happen with Mon Bruce, and it will happen under the moonlight. Mr. Speaker, I'm one who fully supports the construction of the marina because I have interest. Roland clapping, but you don't know what I'm about to say. But I have interest in the construction of the marina, Mr. Speaker, because I witnessed firsthand last October, and I heard somebody denigrating and trying to belittle the lineup for the work. Mr. Speaker, somebody that inside a house doesn't come out now. The person not live in Marigot and come to Roseau like that and walk around. The person don't even know what entertainment. I mean, I'm one of the problems that all over the place. All action it have idea. So it's me that know what line up. What she know what line up? What does she know what line up? That is one of the best lineups that we have ever had, Mr. Speaker. When you hear about Tabo Combo, when I heard it, I said, my mother will be there. She will be there. Compa. It's a mix. We have bouillon. We have soca. We have Afro beats, Mr. Speaker. We have something for everybody. And Mr. Speaker, you say I'm blushing? Paris Hammond, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, I have an interest in the marina, back to the marina. And I witnessed firsthand what happened last year, Curl Festival, when so many yachts came into the Newtown Bay. Mr. Speaker, I passed through Newtown, I was wondering what was happening. And then when I was coming down from my home and I looked, but I should have gone by Honorable Henderson because he has the best view, Mr. Speaker. Best view. And he always counting. And there was so many yachts, so many pleasure crafts, Mr. Speaker. And so I welcome the marina. Honorable Minister, we have trained and skilled personnel in Roseau South, in Newtown, who can assist with you for technical assistance, repairs of the yachts and the pleasure crafts. We have that. We have that. After construction, we have that. We have the skilled people, Mr. Speaker. And we have some providers, so we do the whale watching, dive Dominica, and there's another guy, Kurt, Mr. Speaker. He wouldn't mind I call his name. Kurt, who does the swimming with the whales, and then we have Joanne Gage, do the swimming with the whales as well. So we welcome the marina, and I know, Mr. Speaker, even if they go to the north, they must come to the south. That's where the vibe is. That is where we have the hype, in the south. So the marina will benefit all of us. And that is what the Dominica Labour Party is all about, Mr. Speaker. That is what we are using our CBI funds to do, Mr. Speaker. To create a sustainable environment, Mr. Speaker, for businesses to thrive. So we are constructing the hotels, we are constructing the marina, and I went on the geothermal site. On Sunday, Honorable Henderson joined me with some of my elderly and my association and party group members. And Mr. Speaker, I got a first-hand view. No, I didn't get this steam. I wish he could have opened the well pipe for me, but we couldn't go so close. But he showed me the amount of work that was done, Mr. Speaker. And if it were not for the startup he had gotten from the CBI, we would not have been here where we are today, Mr. Speaker. You see, when we're talking sense in the house, the outside, you know, they may be drinking coffee or something. So they never know what is happening and what the facts are. So they come here and they read. With their Batman suit, Mr. Speaker. Their Batman suit, and they're going to fly. But you know they see I coming up next, so they run outside. But that's okay. They'll get the message. The Bat girl, she'll get the message. So, Mr. Speaker, when the marina is built, we'll take the tourists, on tours, and because we have CCAT, who is already providing that service to the tourists there. But one of the things I want the guru of the blue economy, Honorable Zishanin, because fellas fighting. Remember, for a yacht to dock on a mooring, they pay 40 US, sometimes 20, sometimes 40. So all fellas in Newtown right now building moorings, and they heard about the marina, so they build in, and they heard about the improvement to the fish court and the landing site, so they put in down moorings. So that is something that we need to regulate. Where do we put the mooring? Okay? So that is important, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in education, we have made some significant strides and investment in education in the Roseau South constituency. You could see the enhancement of the community high school, Mr. Speaker, and that is an improvement for the teaching and the learning environment of our students. Our students continue to receive books and devices, scholarships, allowances, financial assistance, school transfer grants,
10 more minutes.
Uniform and stationery, and other forms of technical support, Mr. Speaker, from the Ministry of Education. I come into it. Yeah, I'll need more. No, let's see. And I want to thank our Minister of Education for the great assistance. I can tell you last year I got brand new books in the tune of $74,000 for Roseau South. Okay? Good books. And we have our school program, because we never received that before, so it was the first time. And so this year we will spend $0 on that because we're going to roll over the books to the other students, Mr. Speaker. Many of our teachers have benefited from the appointment within the government service, and we are very grateful for that, Mr. Speaker. So, Speaker, scholarships and financial assistance are being made available to students from Roseau South. Many of them are at UWI and other universities and colleges in Europe, the Caribbean, North America, and elsewhere. We continue to impress upon the minds of our students to take advantage of the opportunities for their personal development. I want to thank the Honorable Prime Minister for his continued support to our young people in the area of education, and our young people are grateful. Mr. Speaker, I must do this because a parent sent me a message because he was trying to get a loan for his son to go to study. And he went to mostly every institution and was turned down. And so he came to me as the PAL rep, and you know how poor people are, and they would be the first university graduate, and it's in keeping with our policy, Mr. Speaker. And so he came to me, and I said to him, let not your heart be troubled. We'll help you. And I went to the Prime Minister, and the Prime Minister assisted us. And I'm proud to say today that he has graduated, Mr. Najee Williams, graduated from the Midwestern University with a degree in biochemistry, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we did an assessment of our national assessment exams in Roseau South, and we have some work to do in that area, but I want to congratulate the students who made it through, and I will do like Honorable Scary this time around and ensure that we have some classes for the students who need the help the most. So we'll do that in Roseau South. Mr. Speaker, I want to talk about feast and talk about fete. They are strong, you know, Mr. Speaker, feast and fete. And so, some people feel that the main reason people have feast is because of rum and pat. But Mr. Speaker, as a parliament representative, I have to think a bit deeper. And so, therefore, for me, I am more concerned about the elderly woman that is frying her bakes and her chicken. And so, let me take, for instance, the Girondel Eggleston Flower Show and Market Fair. And we successfully revamped this flower show, Mr. Speaker. And I didn't, as a PAL rep, just sit down and just allow the group to go ahead. I had meetings with the flower growers group when necessary. I rolled up my sleeve, Mr. Speaker, that's what a parliament representative does, and I assisted them in carrying up the flowers. And so we did the traditional type of the floral arrangements, and we had over 200 people visiting the site during that period. And so we did the flower show, but it caters a lot for the older folks. And so you have to do something for the young people, Mr. Speaker. So I bought, and those days they're looking like it's very strong, a big truck on the road. And Mr. Speaker, the biggest takeaway for me wasn't the big truck and the dancing, but it was that every shop and bar in Girondel and Eggleston was sold out, Mr. Speaker. Sold out. And so we have to continue assisting our people. Mr. Speaker, and I want to assure the people of Girondel and Eggleston that the Prime Minister has committed to the $100,000 subvention, and it was not removed from the budget. It is in the budget. But our focus is going to be on developing the site. So we have to take a certain fraction for development of sites and another amount for the FET and the little CO path. But first and foremost on the agenda is the develop, because we want to do some nice little cabanas. Mr. Speaker, we want people to come and spend the weekend and spend their monies. I need some more time. Spend their monies in Girodale and Egliston.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the member for the Roseau South constituency be given an additional 15 minutes to continue to enlighten us.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to second the motion.
It has been moved and seconded that the Honorable Minister be given an additional 15 minutes. Those in favor? Those against? Honorable Minister, you are given an additional 15 minutes.
I appreciate that, Mr. Speaker. May God continue to bless you and your family. So, Mr. Speaker, Fetla Kudwe, if I pronounce it properly, Fetla Kudwe. So we did something, we wet the people's throat over the weekend for Fetla Kudwe, Mr. Speaker. And everybody's saying, but that power up there not easy. We had a carnival in July. Carnival, a Juve in July, Mr. Speaker. And so the people are excited and looking forward toward next year. But next year, what I want, Mr. Speaker, and the people of Bafa State, brother me, bring it closer. The people of Bafa State, we want to make our entire run. So we start by the school, and we come up, we go by Sonny because we have bars all along. And we turn and we come down on the main road, Mr. Speaker. And we fet in, Mr. Speaker. Juve. And I even suspect we will do a paint and powder section and a VIP section, Mr. Speaker, for Honorable Melissa Skerry, Dennis Charles, and myself, Mr. Speaker, so we can be among the people. That's what we are, politicians. And we have to be among the people. But we intend to go bigger. We have 3 days, do our princess show, do a family fun day. Just have an entire package, Mr. Speaker. And the people of the community will they will feel the economic, brethren, benefits. That's how you speak. Economic benefits of the activity. So, Fetla Kudwe, and Mr. Speaker, while I'm on my feet, I want to thank the newly formed development committee because they're all very young people. Some of them, about 90% of them under the age of 40, and they have really done exceptionally well with their cleanup campaigns. They have done their Facebook page, because we have to take note that volunteerism is going out the window. And so if you have these young people coming in for community development, we have to encourage them, Mr. Speaker. And I'm going to call their names. Joanne Gage, the chairman, Mr. Joel Louisa, deputy chair, Mary Laguerre, treasurer, she like her money, Mr. Speaker, so she's the treasurer. Tina Alfred, Elsa Dover, Taj Robinson, Fidel Seraphine, Donnelly Clifton, Nina Lee, and Corinne George. Kudos, 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 and congratulations. Let us give them, come on, man, my colleagues, because I don't have to protect all you know that, okay? But, Mr. Speaker, while I was in Bafa State on Saturday, while it was going on quite nicely, some of my other hamlets felt a bit jealous. And, I don't want them to feel that. So we're going to revamp Charlottesville. Yes, we will revamp Charlottesville in Newtown, Mr. Speaker. We'll do that for the people of Newtown, and there's a feast they told me about in Lubia, but I will meet with the various committees, Mr. Speaker, as I said to them. Communities that thrive and they do well is because they have very good committees in place, right? So we have to make sure we have the committees in place and we get the financing, the account is in order, and we roll in, Mr. Speaker. Resource centers. I've received the designs and the estimates for the Kings Hill Resource Center, Mr. Speaker, and I will I heard somebody said earlier that we do things in a draconian manner. What was it that was said? I remember the word. I wonder if they know a draconian. But we do things in a draconian manner. Mr. Speaker, everything this government has done and parliamentary representatives, we discuss with our constituents. They determine the priorities. We don't. And so I went to Kings Hill and they said to me, our priority is the Kings Hill Community Center. So I have gotten a gentleman, Mr. Burgess Stout, who has volunteered his time and did it for me free of charge because Honorable Laville knows what it would cost to do a design and estimate of any building. It's not free of charge. But he did it for us. And so I will bring it to the people of Kings Hill, let them look at the designs. If they want to make any alterations, any suggestions, they can bring that to me. I bring it back. And then we move on with it. We'll bring to the Minister of Finance and we'll see what happens from there. But I am committed, Mr. Speaker, because Kings Hill is a constituency by itself. Very large, but hear why telling that to the Speaker. His mother lives in Kings Hill. So he knows Kings Hill at the palm of his hands. We have Monbruce, we have Center Street, we have Back Street, we have Pierce, we have Nine Elms. So it's a constituency by itself. And we have no place to have meetings. And people have to understand on this side that we are still rebuilding from Hurricane Maria. And that is not an excuse. It is a fact, Mr. Speaker. It is a fact. So don't come here when we talk here in this honorable house. We are realistic people. We come here with facts. So all that fancy thing and the flair and the glamour, Mr. Speaker, we are not about that on this side. We know the reality of what we are facing. And so the Kings Hill people will get their community center. The Bathurst Resource Center, my dear friends, is there again. There's an amount for repairs of community centers, and then we will utilize these funds. And the young people have said to me, Parrot, all we need is the material, and we will do our do. So I'm even making it easier on the Honorable Minister, Greta Roberts. So there's some monies there. As soon as budget is passed, Honorable, I will be coming to your office. Okay, all you know I don't play, and I will be coming. Mr. Speaker, housing, very important to Roseau South, extremely important. Very important. And the Prime Minister has given me some ideas as to what we can do because we're really challenged by land. And I will sit with the Minister, the Honorable Minister of Housing, for us to chart the way forward as it relates to housing. But the people have benefited, I can tell you, from the World Bank housing project, right? We have benefited from that. They have benefited from repairs. We have constructed homes and we intend to construct more homes in this financial year. They also have benefited from the 40 and under, Mr. Speaker. They have, and I want them to, because it's in the budget again, it's what's in the budget for them, it's in the budget, and so I expect them to apply and take advantage of the $10,000 grant, Mr. Speaker. Housing Newtown, I want the people of Newtown to be rest assured because I'm their power rep. And they that crown me and christen me ground parrot. So when I tell them they'll get, just be patient, they will get their housing, Mr. Speaker. Okay? The fishing, Mr. Speaker, the fishing industry, which I spoke to earlier, the Newtown Fisheries Cooperative is doing exceptionally well. I mean, the president sent me videos of how much pounds of tuna they are catching. And so we have been able to revamp and revitalize the Newtown Fisheries Cooperative. We're selling ice, we are renting coolers, and the whole goal is for us to be sustainable, Mr. Speaker. So they are on the right track, and as the parliamentary representative, I'll help them even further to move forward, Mr. Speaker. Well, the Newtown Fish Court, the minister, the guru, the blue economy specialists, Mr. Speaker, has announced that we're going to get our coverage because the tents are tired. And Mr. If you pass it, the tent's tired. They're working, Mr. They're tired. Right now, Honorable Blackmore, I probably I need more 2 more teeth because the teeth are torn up and so we are going to do a steel frame structure to, protect from the sea blast and that sort of thing. So the fishermen can have a better environment in which they can sell. And they also clean their fish. The other day we had Bon Balau, Mr. Speaker, selling and so to the public. So we're doing okay in fishing. In agriculture, our farmers benefited greatly, as you know, Girondale and Egliston. Besides being the flower basket, we also grow vegetables and potatoes, white potatoes. And our farmers took advantage, they got the necessary inputs and fertilizer, and they had a very good yield, Mr. Speaker. I was accompanied on a farm tour with the Minister of Agriculture, the Parliamentary Secretary, and the Permanent Secretary, Reggie Sevre. We went to visit Mr. Julian Theophile at Girondale, and Mr. Speaker, look potato. And it's not only... What is it? Tell me. Me patat. Plenty potato, Mr. Speaker. Plenty potato. And Mr. Speaker, not only, thank you, Honorable Bly. I get in on because you see, unlike them, I traverse the country. So I am in places like Grand Bay and Paybush where people speak patois. So I have to pick up. So, Mr. Speaker, it's not only the quantity, but the quality.
Oh, sure.
Mr. Speaker, some big potatoes, first grade potatoes, Julian Theophile. Yeah, very good farmer. Go patat, big potato, Mr. Speaker. Yeah, that we can export. And you heard the Minister of Agriculture talk about exporting and planting potatoes year round, and we can do that in Girondale and Egliston because we have the expertise, Mr. Speaker. I will continue to work. But lady, she came back. Okay. Mr. Speaker, I will continue to work with the farmers in my constituency. And one of the main issues, 2 main issues that they have was the farm labor and irrigation system. So we are working on that. Mr. Small businesses, they have benefited from the grants from the small business unit and also from the aid bank facility, and I want to continue to encourage them to apply. Their parameters there for them. So once they tell me, I will always push that for them, Mr. Speaker, and ensure that they get it. Infrastructure, roads and bridges. The Emsall Bridge, Mr. Speaker, it's part of our estimates, and I want to tell the people of Emsall, they have been patient. They really have been patient, and we're really trying to find a form of financing for them with that bridge. Because they came out in their numbers, Mr. Speaker, to vote for me, and I am committed to ensuring that they get that Emsall Bridge. The guardrails, it's in the estimate. There's an amount for guardrails in the estimates, and the costing was done for the Emsall guardrail. So we will be coming to you, the people of Emsall. The Egliston Main Road, I visited the main road with the Permanent Secretary of Public Works along with his technical officers. It's a massive project, Mr. Speaker. You're talking about the road from Fort Ney all the way to Egliston, and the people have been lamenting that they know that the road is dangerous and they need some assistance on that road. But we have done a lot of work on the back road, and I try to encourage them to pass through the Castle Comfort route. But nonetheless, the Permanent Secretary...
5 more minutes.
Yes, that's okay, Mr. Speaker. I probably need that. There's a 5 more. But, Mr. Speaker, no, give me 10 more. 10.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the Member of Parliament for the Roseau South constituency be given an additional 10 minutes. Thank you.
Seconded, Mr. Speaker.
It has been moved and seconded that the Honourable Minister be given an additional 10 minutes. Those in favour? Those against? The ayes have it. You are given an additional 10 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I see someone of them on the other side look surprised, but I mean, we are the majority, and the people of Dominica voted for us, Mr. Speaker, and they put 18 of us there. 19, I even forget one. 19, and I have the largest constituency, and they are listening. So don't pretend like you're surprised. I'm the ground power. Okay, so Mr. Speaker, let me go very quickly, Egliston. So I'll be having a consultation with the people of Egliston in regards to their main road, and we will all come to a common solution and on common grounds on a way forward with the Egliston main road. Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, I want to conclude that the job of an elected representative is not easy. I'm breathless. I think at this juncture I need a little water. As Minister of Water, let me just take a little water break. So it's not easy. And we heard the member for Marigot speak to 400 people who voted for him. 400 you got for something? They come into him and the others said, come. So you know it's not an easy job. You know that. You're probably having some sleepless nights too. So it's not an easy job, Mr. Speaker. But however, the energy, because people sometimes wonder how I do it. My energy comes from the Lord, Mr. Speaker. God above. I pray regularly, Mr. Speaker. And I am with my people. And they're the ones who crowned me and christened me the ground pirate. Not me give myself that name, you know, Mr. Speaker. They, unlike others who self-proclaim to be Mamo, Mr. Speaker. Self-proclaim to be Mamo. Mr. Speaker, I don't see these qualities and the attributes of Mamo in the MP for Salisbury. Because after that rebuttal Honorable Vince gave you, if Mamo was in the house, she would come back and she would take her beating like a man. That was the kind of person she was. The Iron Lady. And you should have stayed there and take your blows, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, if I'm looking for Mamo in this room, or Mamos, I'd look at Honorable Minister Skerrit. I would look at Honorable Octavia Alfred. I would look at Honorable Dennis Charles. She's a child. She's closer to Mamo, Dame Eugenia Charles, than Jester All. I would look at Honorable Greta Roberts. You have to show the actions of being a Mamo of today, and you do not have it. I do not know if you have what it takes, just my Honorable Paul, but people are allowed to have their dreams and aspirations, Mr. Speaker, and you cannot deprive them of that. You cannot deprive them. But we on the other side, if you would allow us, we will kind of work with you. Because you see there, we are the boss ladies of our constituency. That's what we are. And I'm the ground power from Newtown, and my husband is from Bath State. Mr. Speaker, we must not lose hope. And we must never be fearful of the future. We must not listen to people who preach doom and gloom on our country, Mr. Speaker. We must rebuke them. We must rebuke them at every opportunity that we get, Mr. Speaker. And that is why I'm not relenting. I'm not relenting. I will say what is it I have to say, because I'm the Mamo of Roseau South. Mr. Speaker, the budget is one that will set us on the right path of sustainable development. It's a budget of hope. Mr. Speaker, I, Shakira Lockett Hippolyte, from Newtown, residing at Wallhouse, visit Baffin State from time to time to overnight. I want to say that because I'm always in my constituency. I'm at Silver Lake regularly. Baffin State visiting my people. Emsall looking at what is it that my people needs. Kingshill every single day. Newtown, Fort Ney, Citronet, Castle Comfort, Walhouse, Girondale, Egliston, Loubier. I am in full support, Mr. Speaker, of the 2023-2024 national budget. I thank you.
You understand why I did not want to get involved in the debate? Because we have people in the house that can debate the matters. But I want to just comment on something. If we are to have a proper camaraderie and a nice debate, when we make our deliberation, we should not leave the house. We should stay so we can get education, more knowledge, especially when we make a statement. So that we might advise to all members of this honorable house. Let's proceed.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the House be adjourned until 3 o'clock for lunch.
3 p.m.?
It be suspended until 3 p.m. for lunch.
Okay. A second.
Speaker.
It has been moved and seconded that the House be suspended until 3 p.m. this afternoon. Those in favor? Those against? The ayes have it. House stands suspended until 3 p.m. this afternoon.